Okay, so real quickly, if I have, say, 6 and some other number, and I wanted to get to 0, what would I do here to get to 0? Sorry? Yeah, I go minus 6. Okay? Say I had 3x, and I wanted to get to 0, what would I need here? Negative 3x, or subtract 3x. So you can think of it as a negative 3x, or if it was a plus 3x, you could think of it as subtracting. What if I had a negative 5x? What would I need to get to 0? Positive 5x, right? And so really that's kind of like adding. All right? So our focus today is really the number in front of x. They have to be the same. Your signs could be the same, like right here we had 2 positives, or like right here your signs could be different. Okay, now really it's like a positive sign there that we don't write. Okay, but whichever way you have it, whether it's 2 positives or opposites, you can always get to 0. And that's kind of our focus for today. Good. So as we practice our algebra now, what we want to do is just practice moving things across the equal sign. Do these equations look the same? Are they the same? I mean, look at them. Do they look the same? Not at all. What I want you to do, though, is change them both into y equals mx plus b. Okay? So move everything over to the right side except for y. Go. So on the right side, you get y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Now for the next one, you can move the 30 over, okay, or you can move the 15y over. Which one did you guys do? Move 15y? Okay, so 5x plus 15y equals 30. 15y equals negative 5x plus 30. And y equals... let's see here, divide by 15, divide them both by 15, be negative 5 over 15x plus 2, so y equals, this is negative 1/3, whoops, I'll write it so you can see it, negative 1/3, still can't see it, man. 3x plus 2. So at the beginning, they didn't look the same, did they? Are they the same? Exactly the same. What would you do to the first equation to make it like the second one? Times it by 5. Right? So then you get 5x and 15y and 30. Okay? Now, equations are like fractions. If you have 2/3, and you multiply them both by 5, you have an equivalent fraction, 10 over 15. So we're going to be doing this idea today, right? Equivalent fractions, equivalent equations. So if we multiply correctly, we don't change anything, but they look different. And that's going to help us eliminate by adding or subtracting. So today we're doing elimination, which means the term will cancel to 0. It'll be eliminated. And we do this by adding or subtracting the two equations to solve for one of the variables. Now, some textbooks won't call it won't call it elimination. They call it adding, subtracting. Okay, and so you're going to actually see it on your worksheet. Now, what we want to do is rewrite the equations in an equivalent form. That's going to be an important thing that we're going to do as well. So the first ones are kind of cooked up to get the idea. So have a look at our two equations. We have x plus y equals 2, 2x minus y equals 7. Which one's the easiest to eliminate? Well, look at your y's. Your coefficients for the y would be to make it easiest to eliminate. Why? Because you have opposite coefficients. Now, should you add or subtract to get your y's to cancel to 0? Well, here you should add. Okay. If you have the same coefficient, such as plus 2x and minus 2x, then, if you have plus 2x and plus 2x, then you should subtract. You guys know what coefficient is? What's the coefficient when we say that? Yeah, it's the number in front, right? Just the number in front of the term. So what we're going to do is just like you did back in elementary school. If you have like 20 minus 4, you do the old vertical subtraction. Got to be super careful with it. 20 minus 4, 16. Okay, so we're going to do that old, that's kind of subtraction and addition we're going to do. So we said here we should add. So what's x plus 2? How many x's altogether? 3x. Plus 1 minus 1 cancels to 0, so we don't need to write it. And 2 plus 7? 9. So what does x equal? 3. Right? 9 divided by 3 is 3. So what we can do then is we can then, instead of doing elimination, this is so easy, I would do substitution. So do a combination. So we get 3 plus y equals 2. And then y equals what? Negative 1. And so your answer is bracket 3 comma negative 1 bracket. That's the point where those two lines have the same x and y value. So their x values are the same and their y values are the same. Good. Okay, look at this next one. Now the y's are exactly the same. They're not opposites. Up above, one was positive, one was negative. Now both of them are positive. So what should we do? Subtract. Now you got to be careful with your subtraction. 7 minus 3 is easy. That's 4x. 15 minus 3 is easy. That's what? 12. Now you got to be careful. I'll show you why. If you have 8x and negative 2x, if you were subtracting those, what would your answer be? Are you sure? Yes. You are right. Okay. But often I hear people say, oh, it's 6. It's 6x. But no, remember if we write it this way, minus negative 2x, that turns into an addition. So we got to be really careful. Okay, you want to write this down, and you want to say be careful with subtraction, because this is the biggest error when you're doing this, is you're not subtracting properly, you're not being careful with it. Okay, so that was just an example, by the way. It's not part of our question. Going back to our question, x equals 3. Okay. So then what we can do is we can go and do substitution. And we can say 7x plus y equals 15. Take that, put it in. 7 times 3 plus y equals 15. 21 plus y equals 15. What does y equal? Negative 6. Good. And so our final answer then would be bracket 3 comma negative 6 bracket. Make sure it's written just like that. You know, if you put a box around it, I find it easier. I mark easier. Okay. Any questions? Anything at all? Please ask. So you'll have a few like this that are this easy. Then we're going to get into some of the medium ones. So the medium ones now, our x's and our y's don't have the same or opposite coefficients. So we're going to have to change their appearance. We're going to have to do the equivalent equations, just like we did up above at the very beginning. So what can we do to get our x's the same? What can we multiply one of them by? Yeah, multiply the first one by 3. Now how you do this is up to you. I'll show you two ways. So just put your pencil down, then you pick. So you can go, oh, multiply this thing by 3, and then you can do your arrows if you wanted. So that's one way to show that you're multiplying by 3. Or what you could do is say, oh, I'm multiplying everything by 3, and so you put your 3's right beside these numbers, and you multiply everything by 3. Your choice. Okay, pick one. Go. Show your work. In the end, though, you'll get 3x minus 6y equals 21. And underneath, you'll get 3x. The bottom one doesn't need to change. Okay. Now that x's are exactly the same, should you add or subtract? Well, you know what? I think add. So I'm going to go add, and then we can get 6x minus 2y equals 22. What do you guys think about this? 6x minus 2y? Is one of the variables gone? No. So if you do this by accident, you know you made a mistake. Take this thing called an eraser and erase your pencil. As I said, pencil. Okay, and then just go back and say, okay, it should have been a subtraction, and correct your mistake. All right? Go ahead, do this one. Be careful. See how you do. Okay, so the x's cancel to 0. We don't need to write them, and you should have got negative 10y. Okay, because it's negative 6y minus 4 positives. That's just like you're subtracting. Okay, and over here we should get 20, so y equals negative 2. Okay. Now you could go and do elimination combination, but we don't want to. What we want to do now is change this top equation again so that instead of our x's canceling, our y's are going to be the same and cancel. Or opposite. What will we multiply the top one by so our y's could cancel? You could choose negative 2, but it's okay though if you only choose positive 2. Okay, as long as the digits are the same, we're okay. So somehow you show your work to multiply it by 2 to get the equation. Okay, just the top one. So we get 2x minus 4y, and that's the key, equals 14. Now, Jamie had a good point. She said, well, if you multiply by negative 2, then you get a positive 4y. The worksheet that you're doing today kind of suggests that, but you don't need to do that at all because we're doing adding subtracting at the same time. Okay, so here, since they're opposites, we should choose to add. If you had them as the same, then you just would have subtracted. No big deal. Okay, so go ahead now, solve. So we should have got 5x equals 15, x equals 3. And then our final answer would be 3 bracket 3 comma negative 2 bracket, put it in a little box. There we go. Any questions at all? Okay, now that was an easy example. Here's a medium example. Now we don't have anything really remotely the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to change them both, not just one equation, but both of them. Let's get our x's to eliminate on the first. So what can we multiply the top by and the bottom by? They can be different numbers, so our x's can eliminate. Or, in other words, what's the LCM? How do we get the, people are 10, whispering 10? So what will we multiply the top one by? 5. Again, show it how you want. And the bottom, multiply by 2. Notice how you kind of switch the coefficients when you multiply. Okay, so that always works. Not always the lowest, but it always will work. Okay. Now that you got your x's the same, I want you to cancel. Okay, so solve. So I got y equals 52 over 23 as a fraction. Ends up if you got that. Good. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good answer. Okay, it's in lowest terms. You don't need to do anything else with it. Now what we want to do is solve for y. So what number would make our y's the same? Or make our, right, what's the LCM? We got 3y and 4y, 12. Okay. So again, you could take the 4 down at the bottom and multiply the top equation by 4. Take the 3, multiply the bottom equation by 3. That will always work. It's not always the lowest, but it'll give us the LCM of 12 that we need. Okay, so go ahead, do your math, multiply. Okay, then add or subtract, solve for x. So you get two fractions as your answer, 14 over 23 for x and 52 over 23 for y. Okay. And that would be hard to figure out by graphing. In fact, it'd be impossible. Okay. Any questions at all? Please ask. Any details, anything? Okay, thumbs up, down, in the middle, what would you say? Okay. All right, so we're going to go on to one harder one. The only difference between 4 and 5 is that, for example, 5, you have to get rid of your fractions first. So looking at the top equation, we have a half and a quarter. What will we multiply by to get rid of our fractions? 4. So times each term in the equation by 4. Okay. So let's do that first. And the bottom one, what will we multiply by? 3 and a 2 in the bottom. Multiply by 6. Okay, the LCM. Make sure before you multiply, you divide. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, so always look to divide first so your fractions are gone. Okay, there we go. Do you guys want to get your y's the same or your x's the same first? Y's? Sure. Let's do your y's first, okay? So get your y's the same. And then down below, get your x's the same. This one's interesting, isn't it? Did we do something wrong? Nope, we didn't. So we're going to divide by 20. 0 divided by 20. If you're unsure of that, use your calculator. See if it's undefined. No, it's not undefined. It's 0. So that means we didn't go anywhere left or right. There's nothing wrong with x equals 0, folks. Nothing at all. Okay. It's rare to get that, but it's a total possible answer. Okay, go ahead now, and let's get our x's the same. So I wouldn't change the top equation, but change the bottom one so that your x's can cancel to 0. So you want to multiply it by 3. Okay, good. Is that 160? 144. Okay, the next one was we subtract. Ooh. So we need 10y equals negative 160. So y equals 16. So the point is 0, 16. That's an interesting point. It's a very special one. What do we call that point? Nope, it's negative 1y minus positive 9. So that's negative 1y minus 9y. Okay, so that's why when you see that subtraction, Jasmine, out front, just be careful, okay? Even guess and then check on your calculator if you want to. You get used to it. Yep.
Is it wrong if you added that?
Yes, because if you added them, this is what you would have got. 12x plus 8y equals something. Nothing cancels to 0, okay? So you got to be careful with that. And if you're doing your math right, then you'll see that that's a mistake, okay? So this is a special point. What do we call that point? If you're unsure, let me graph it for you. Yeah, exactly. That's right here. You guys should see that and say right away, hey, that's my y-intercept. Okay, you need to start recognizing these because that can help you answer questions, do the math easier. All right. Any questions? Okay, so for your homework, there's two parts. There's the worksheet. Those are going to be from easy to medium. There's the textbook work, which is hard. If you're an expert, I would do a few from the worksheet, the closer ones to the end, then do the textbook. What I suggest